Yeah, good morning, guys, and welcome once again to today's learning. I hope you guys had a wonderful week ahead. And we have a wonderful weekend, rather, not a wonderful weekend ahead, a wonderful weekend, and we would be moving forward from where we left off in the previous class. And what we're going to be doing in today's class, we'll be finishing up this design to make it look like exactly what we have. And we will go on from there. So let's go ahead. So we started this design as I made mention in the previous class. For this design, I got it from frontendmentors.io, and we have started building it. So this is my what's going on? So we have coming. Let me stop sharing my screen and share again. So let me share my screen back. I'm having some kind of so let's get started. So we had our HTML, and we were done building our HTML at the last class, and we had little time to start the CSS. But one thing we have done in the CSS was we have gotten the font that we needed. We have gotten the font that we needed. We have gotten the styling. And yeah, can everyone see my Visual Studio Code? Can everyone see my Visual Studio Code?
Yes, we can.
All right, so we have started styling the product, and yeah, so let's start from there. So I'm going to duplicate my screen sort of, so I have my HTML on the right, on the left hand side, and my CSS on the left hand side. So we have the container, which we have styled. We have the product. So I give this the flex direction of column. So this is me trying to move it from left to right to become side by side. So, and you would see I'm still going to make use of it. So also we have, and like we also know, we have some colors right here. Which we'll be using, like the previous one which you worked on. We have some colors right here. And I also want to teach you something, how to make use of reusable colors. So what are reusable colors? Reusable colors in CSS are simply colors that you can define once. They are reusable colors that you can actually just define. They are colors you define once and you make use of the variable you have added to it. So you would have something like this to make use of, let's say, reusable colors. Instead of trying to copy the colors every time you need it, what you just have to do is you have given it a variable name, and with that variable name is what you would attach to your code at every time you use it. And if peradventure in the future you have a client, you're working with a client, and the client is like, oh, I want to change this particular color to orange after you have used blue, you don't have to start going to every part of the code where you have used it to start changing it. You just change it at a base point where you did it. So these are you that have something called roots. Then we have color green, we have dash color green. So I'm using the name that was given to us here. Color green 500, color green dash 500. So that's going to be just going to copy the color from here, so I don't have to. So we have HS, and we just put that right here. So the next color we have is dash color dash green 700. So I will show you the usefulness of this actually, so you'll be able to see it yourself. So this actually helps a lot. So the next one is we have black. We have this dash color dash black. And we have this. One thing I want to know is that actually CSS is actually very, very fun to do. Actually, CSS is very, very fun to work with. So Joshua, this is actually a light that you can work with. Trying to look for your colors one after the other is actually a tedious task, I can tell you. So, but this would give you a better view to do something. So we change the color. This is black. So the next one is going to be gray dash dash gray color dash gray. And we have HSL this. Control C. I'm going to paste this right here. So the next one that we have is cream dash dash color dash cream. And I have this. So the next color is going to be white dash dash white dash, oh sorry, color dash white. So I'm just using this dash dash color to be sure that okay, this is actually a color. So you can actually name it anything of your choice, basically. So that's, I think that's what we have. And we can also use it for our font family and all, basically. So I can, instead of me having my font family on my body element, I can simply just have I can simply just do this. I'll just do dash dash font dash family. And I'm going to have Montserrat. So I'm just going to this font that we have right here. I'm going to have Montserrat, and I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to copy this all through, and I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to paste it right here. So it's still going to work the same way. So how do you use this? So how we simply use this is just defining our how we simply use this is you call something called VAR, not video assistant referee. So yeah, just a variable name in CSS. It's called VAR, and we just do font family, and our font becomes either Montserrat or sans serif. So let's go to our browser. You can see our font still remains. Let me comment this out so you can see it. So let me save this. You can see that there is a difference in the font size. So by the time I change back to Montserrat, you can see it becomes bolder, sort of. So as you can see, our font family actually changed. And also for our background color is actually cream. So this HSL 30, that's what we have. And I'm going to change this also to AR dash dash color cream. So with color cream, let me comment this out first. Our background color should be white. With this, our background color should be white. Then with this color cream, it should be back to what we have previously. So if at any point in time I have written over thousands and thousands of lines of code, and our client just says, oh, this color cream that you're using here, I don't like it. What do you need to do? Change it to something more deeper. So, and I have this. I don't need to start going into my body to start changing them one after the other. I just go to the root element where I've defined it, and I change the color from there. And if I go to our browser, it automatically changes. So do you guys understand? Do you see the usefulness of defining a global variable for your colors and how useful it is? Do you guys get it? Yes, it has to be. It's not double. It's not double semicolon. It's just a simple. It's a single colon. It's a single colon rather, not a double semicolon. It's a single colon. Who is that? Joshua, please take notes. It's a single column, not double. So that's basically how this. So it has to be, because that is the attribute from. That's the attribute CSS has actually given to us to make use of. So let's continue. I hope we get that. I need response. Do we get that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So I hope to see more of that in your submission. So things I've taught you, the way you can actually get used to it is by reusing it over and over again. If you don't use it, you tend to forget actually. So let's continue. So I have flex column and I also have the background color right here. Background color. That's on our product, the background color white. So VAR dash color white. So let's go back to our image that we are using. Let's go back to our image that we are working with. So this is the image we are simply working with. So let's continue. No. So we have this, and we also have a border radius. So there's something like a border radius at the corner. The edge are not pointed. It's a border radius. So let's continue. So we have border radius. So we have border radius. So we have border radius. So let's have border dash radius. And we have, that would be, let me give it 1 rem to see how it looks like. So I can't see what is there, but when we have it side by side, we'll definitely get to see what is there. So we have overflow. So I'm going to use this overflow hidden that someone mentioned in the previous class. So this is not to hide our overflow. This is not to allow us to have like a sort of overflow, but it's going to give us an overflow. But every other one, so far we are not scrolling, we are not hiding some things behind the scene. It's just going to curb our element to be fit on the screen. So this is like one simple arc to work with, overflow. So we have a box shadow. So this is like giving it a kind of subtle shadow behind our element. So we have 0. So can you see if you look at this element very well, you would kind of see like there's a shadow. It's kind of above a bit on the element. So it's kind of above a bit on the element. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's somewhat there. So we have 0%, 8 pixel, 8 pixel, 20 pixel, and 0. So we have the color RGBA. So, and I have 0. So this is going to be like a black color. 0, 0, 0.05. So that's what we have. So then I now come right here and I do dot product dash underscore. No, I'm going to do product image underscore image img product underscore img. We have flex dash flex 1. So let's see what we have. So why is this okay? We are still on track. So let's continue. I hope I don't have a bug along the line. So I would now have dot product Oru Nancy. I made mention of this, that for rem, vn, pixel, we have a topic on that. which is actually attached to responsiveness. It's actually attached to responsiveness. So I don't want to jump into that because you might not fully understand it if we just talk about it now. But when we are talking about CSS responsiveness, it will give you more insight to understand it. So just, I think in a couple of classes, I think after CSS grid, you can check the curriculum on your LMS dashboard. You will see the breakdown. So that's it actually. So we have product underscore age, img, image, img. So I have the width of 100%. So I'm making it compact. Width of 100%. I have an height of auto. Just give me it here. An height of auto. I missed a comma in the box shadow. Yes. No, the comma is not needed in the box shadow. The comma is not needed in the box shadow. So it's just at the end that is actually needed. Oh, sorry, a single comma right here. Thank you. Thank you. So just going to do this. So this how it looks. Thank you very much, Abel. I missed a single comma there. I did. So that's how it happens. Sometimes when you're writing your code, you might skip something and that might introduce a bug into your code that you never knew about until probably when you're checking it the other time or someone else you're having something called a peer-to-peer learning. If you have something called peer-to-peer learning or a code review session, that's when stuff like this are being reviewed. So it's actually very good to have it. So I have something like max height of 250 pixel. So I'm just defining some height. I'm also having object fit to cover. So I want it to cover the part of which is going to be. So I have display of block. So I'm also using some old themes, and yeah, you can see it's now a little bit compact. I brought it into a compact shape. So let's continue. I increased, the reason why I use the flex one is to, if you read up on flex, is to increase the size to make it grow a bit. That's simply what I did with that. So you can read up on flex. I think I made mention of it in the previous class, if I'm not mistaken. So you can just read up on flex, and those are some kind of property of flex that we have. So let's continue. And so before that, let's do this. Let me put this as a column, as a flex rather. Why now? So let me do a Control Z and continue. I wanted it to come side by side before now, but let's just continue. So we have dot product underscore content, and we have padding of 1.5 rem. We have the text align left. So let's check out and see what we have. So yeah. So we have text left. So we have text left. We have text left. And for what I am actually building, I am actually making use of a simple approach, which is also in responsiveness. It's called like a mobile first approach. So this approach I am building with is more like a mobile first approach kind of view. So if you check our design, there is like a desktop approach, and there is also a mobile view approach. So along the line, when we go on with when we get into more of responsiveness, you would know the difference between mobile first approach and desktop approach. And for mobile first approach, we have we do it a lot. Mobile first approach, we do it a lot. We mock, for me, because of the way the for me basically, I go with desktop approach first of all, but sometimes I just use I just go with the mobile first approach, but in most of the cases I use desktop first because I am building for a laptop screen, and I now have to go down to, but this is just like a simple project where it's actually easy for me to manage. That's why I'm going mobile first. So don't worry about mobile first or desktop first approach. When we get into responsiveness, you will understand that. Just understand that, okay, at this point we are just building these elements and we want to see the visual representation. So we have those product category. So the next one is product category. So the next one is product category. And for product category, we have font size. Font size, I have 1.75 rem. I'm having a font family, font weight of bold, which is, let me just use bold because according to the design that we have, it's kind of bold. So we have font weight of bold, and we have like imagine 0, and we have margin. We have like imagine of, let me give you 0.5 rem. 0.5 rem. We have a color. So what color do we have? According to the image, we have a color gray. And what is our color gray? We have dash color gray. Yeah, that's what we have. So we have color. We have VAR dash color gray. That's what we have for our product category. Then also another thing we have to do is we have to transform everything to capital letter. So as you can see for our perfume, which is up here, we have to transform it to capital letter. So instead of us writing it in our HTML in capital letter, there is an attribute. There's also a styling attribute in CSS called, if you make use of capitalize, it makes the first letter of that text be in capital letter. If you use lowercase, it makes everything lowercase. If you use none, even if you make use of, if you have a capital letter in your, when you are writing it in your HTML and you automatically transform it to lowercase, everything becomes lowercase. The next one becomes none, or when you use uppercase, everything becomes uppercase. That means everything are all case sensitive. So I use uppercase. Let's see what we have. As you can see, we have this already. It's more like a bold font size, and we are going to now give it a font size of, let's have a font size of, think the font size is too big. Let's make it smaller. Let's have 0.75 rem. Let's have 0.75 rem. And yeah, I think I'm already mixing up some styles right here. So I think I'm already mixing up some styles right here. So yeah, this is what we have. That's how it should actually look like. So that's how it should actually look like. So we have 0.5 rem, margin bottom. So it's not around, it's actually margin to the bottom. 0.5 rem, and yes, I think we have this. So let's continue. We have transformed it to uppercase, and you can see, if you look at these elements properly, you can see that there is a kind of space in between them. They are not really close together as we have on our own screen right here. So there is, if you want to give each element, each letter, if you want to have like a space in between your letter in CSS, there's a property called letter spacing. just give it, let's give it something like 10 pixel and now reduce it. Let's give it 10 pixel and then reduce it. You can see how wide it became. You can see how wide it became. So we don't want it to be this wide. What we are simply going to do is we will just experiment a bit and we'll bring it down to, let me say, 5 pixel. Let's see what we have. Let's give it 3 pixel to be sure. So we're giving it 3 pixel, and I think that looks okay. I'm not sure, but you guys can actually look at it. So you can actually look at it to see that it's perfect. So one thing I want you to strive for is don't strive for, at this level, don't strive for perfection. Yeah, don't really strive for perfection to a certain extent. Just get, okay, 5 is better. Meti, thank you. So Meti said we should use 5. So as we go on, it's in our practical classes like this, it's going to be like, I'll ask you a question and you would do what? You will respond. So we have like a strike. I think 5 is better also. So let's continue. I think with that, we are done with the products category. Yeah, so let's now go into the product name. So let's start the product name in itself and see. So let's have product content. So I'm just going to change it to product name. And I'm going to have a font size of 1.75 rem. Sorry, I have just 1.75 rem. I would also have a font weight of bold. I'm going to have like margin 0.5 rem and 0, that's top and bottom 0. So according to the design we have. So let's continue. We are going to have in margin 0, we are going to have a color of black, color of VAR dash black. And I want you to know that this color we are using, it looks black, but it's not like our regular deep black. So you should get at some of the minor things. You can just look at it on the surface level and you see that, oh, this thing is black. But when you go into your code, it's actually not black. It's more deeper than black. It's more lighter than black generally. As a software developer, as a front-end developer, you would see colors in a different way. I know they say it in our age that ladies are the ones that have eye for different color. They'll have burnt orange and the likes. But for you as a developer, a front-end developer, you have color, you have different kind of colors, which you work with hexadecimal code, not the names that you give it to them. So let's continue. I just have to chip that in. So, and we have, I think we have a line height of 1.5. So let's see, and yep, we are good to go. So let's continue. And I would have, the next thing is going to be description. How do we identify where we are to make use of margin bottom and font width? Okay, so for margin bottom, it's simply when you want to add a margin to the bottom of an element. And for font weight is when you want to make an element bold. So now let's check what we have now. We can see that this element is bold, but we want to make it more bolder. If we have font weight, there are other, we can have light. If I give it lighter, it becomes light that you can't see it, basically. So it's just like when you're adding, when you're making use of Microsoft and you want to make your element font, when you try to control A and you make it bold, you increase the font size, but the font size is actually different from the font weight. So that's how it's done, basically. So you would just do what? You would make use of it in the sense that, okay, you want to make this element quite bold. And there are also other, this thing, will I say, other font weight elements, such as you can see we have 100, 200. This is when you have, like, if you are working with your Figma design and you have like a specific font weight, that's when if you check a Figma design, you will see 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 900. But if you don't have something like that, there is just a way you can do it. You can use bold. You can use either bold, bolder, light, or normal. So if you use bolder, it gives it a deeper black. You can see it gives it a deeper black, and you can just see with bold, which is going to be a little bit more faint, but you might not see the difference. To Coyote, why are you annotating on my screen? Please check that. Let's continue. So let's continue. Also, we were on the font name, being product name. So we are styling the product description now. Dash dot products. Let me just category and description. So as you can see now, I made use of similar naming pattern. So it's actually going to be easy for me to know, that, okay, this is if it is a particular element I am styling. This is a particular element I am styling. I don't need to, let's say I have various kind of section on my web page, and the product section, there's a cart section. This naming convention just makes it easy for me and any other person that wants to go through my code base to have a better understanding. These are some of the things that you don't see in coding, that they don't sit you down to teach. But along the line, when you see someone using it, you will just get accustomed to it. So I have font size of 0.9 rem, 0.9 rem. I have a color of gray. The color is also gray, VAR dash dash color gray. The next one is going to be margin bottom. That means I'm giving it a space below. That's 1.5 rem and 1.5 rem. So let's save this and see what we have. So as you can see, we have this already. So let me give this our body element right here. Let me do something of margin. Let me give you something of margin auto. So it just automatically places this in the middle. Why is this not placing it in the middle? So let me be sure for the let me put it on the container. Let me give this a margin auto. Let me give it a margin auto and see, it should actually place it in the center actually. So let's give a margin top, a margin left and right, a margin auto, and we have 10 rem. So let me see this. I'm actually going to change this later on. No, it should be, I'm actually going to change it later on, but auto. So let's put this in the middle. 10 rem is too much. So let's make it 5 rem. 5 rem. And no, that's too much. Let's make it 3 rem. Let's make it 3 rem. Yeah, I think this looks a little bit more compact for it being in the middle. So let's continue. So I just wanted to make that adjustment there, so you don't see that it's actually aligned to the left, because I'm actually working with like I made mention of it, I'm actually building a mobile first. I'm actually working with a mobile first approach. So I think we are done with the description. So the next thing we have to do now is the pricing. That's product pricing. Pricing, let me be sure. Product pricing. Product pricing, we have display of flex. We have align item center. 19 center, and I have a gap of 1 rem. So I'm giving it a space in between. Gap of 1 rem. I have a margin bottom of, let me just say, 1.5 rem. So also for all your margin bottoms and the likes, you would, according to your Figma design, you would have like a compact kind of agreement for that. So let's continue. I think I'm done with, so I have to now style the price itself. So let's now have dot product price, product price, underscore price. Instead of pricing, I have price. And I have a font size of 1.5 rem. I have a font bold. I'm going to use font width of bold. I also have like a color. What color is here? The color looks subtle green. That's like green 500. So let's continue. So I have a color of VR dash color green 500. No, not cream. Green 500. So what else do I have? I have like our font family up there. So we have defined our font family up here. So we don't need to start defining it here again. So as you can see, we have that. So let's now also style the other one. We have the product price, product strike price actually. So let me just copy this. You can see from our HTML, we didn't strike out the color, but you can actually put a stroke on it from our CSS. So we have text decoration, line through. So with this, you can see it gave us a line over it. Like, okay, you know, when there is a discount on a product and there's like, okay, price before and price now. So that's simply how it's done. That's basically how it's done. So let's continue. Please, am I communicating? Am I making sense? Are we following? I want to be sure we are following.
You're making sense.
And are you understanding it? I'm not just talking to the wing.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Let's continue. So let's continue. So we have given the product strike a line through. Then we have color. So our color is going to be like, let me check right here. So the color is going to be like somewhat gray. So let's have VAR dash color gray. So that is that. And we have a font size of 0.9 rem. Font size of 0.95 rem. And let's save and see what we have. Yeah, that's that. So the next thing we now have to style now is our button. So let's style our button. So we have, let's go back to this. So we have product button. We have dot product. Just change it to button. And yeah, this is actually going to be a long style. So let's just put this. Let's just see what we have here, and I can work with that. So we have a background color of green, background color of VAR dash green 500. So that's it. So we have like a text color of white, color VAR white. We have like a padding of 1 rem. We have a width, I'm giving it a width of 100%. So let me see and see if this is already coming along. Yeah, it's actually coming along already. So actually already coming along. So we have a border. So there's actually a border around it. If you look properly at this, you see like a black border somewhat around it here. So instead of just do a border of none, so we go about border radius. So there's like a border radius on it. So I have, let me give it 1 rem and see if that is okay. Does that look okay? Does that look okay? Does that look okay? Let me see.
0.5 works.
Okay, 0.5. So 0.5, it looks, so it's not so obvious that it's a, but yeah, this looks perfect. Who mentioned that?
It's me, Daniel.
Okay,
Cheese.
very good. Yeah, very good, Daniel. So thank you. So that's how interactive the class has to get. So we have a font size of 1 rem. So what else are we going to add? So I'm also going to give it like a comment. Let me check. So I'm going to give it a display flex. So I can give it a split in between the icon and the text. A display flex. Align item center. So with this, you can see that our, what's the name? Our add to cart is like a little bit below the icon item. So with align item center, it's actually going to make everything on a straight line. So let's continue. So I have align item center. I have justify center also, so it will just be in the center. And yeah, and I have a gap. Let me just give it 0.80 rem. Let's see. Can see it's now all on the same line. So let's use our test this out to check. You can see they are all on the same line and they look perfectly okay. So that's some of the things you just need to work with as a front-end developer. So let's continue. I have gap and I have a cursor. So you know that your button element, there has to be an indication. So if you go to like a link or what have you on your a link, a button, there's like an hand icon that comes on it. There's like a kind of hand icon that comes on it in CSS. So how do we do that? Is we have like a cursor, we have a cursor, and we have pointer. So there are different kind of pointers in CSS. So this is the difference. So the moment you get on it, it gives like a pointer kind of thing. So Messi, your hand was raised. I wanted to finish my thought before you break in. So Messi, go ahead.
Okay, it's about this 169 strike word.
Okay.
Like the gray color is like dim, like it's not showing like the 169.
It's not showing like the 169. I'm trying to understand you.
It's just like the mobile design you showed now.
Okay. It looks a little bit more deeper.
Yes, exactly.
Coming, let me be sure. I'm actually using the gray color. Yeah. It's
I think
actually
it's
supposed to.
Like on the
the
like on
strike
the
through
one you designed now.
the
Like I'm not
strike
seeing the 169 just the same way I can see it on this mobile design.
the strike
Oh,
through is making it look darker. That strike through
the stripe
making
is
it
making
Yeah,
it look darker. Yes. The stripe is making it look darker. So yeah, that's actually true. I just noticed that. So, but we'll find a way to fix that. Let's just continue. I didn't notice it before, but let's just continue. So, let's continue. I'll come back to that. And if we can fix it in this class, we would move on to it in the next class. But okay, now there's not also something called, I would like to say, an over. So, in most cases, you when you get to when you move your mouse over a button, it becomes what? The color changes somehow. And how do you do that? there's something called over effects in CSS. There's something called over effects in CSS. So we have dot product button, and we have over. And what color are we giving to it? We give it a background color of VAR gray, so green 700. So this is what it looks like. So the moment you hover on the button, it changes the color from a light green to a deep green. And let's also check our design. We should have something like that. Yeah, so actually on the design is like an active state. There's something like an active state, if you can see. Sorry, let me reduce this. There's something like an active state on the button. Then there's an active state, and there is when it's just a normal picture. So when it's a normal picture, it looks like this. When it's active, like when the mouse is on it, actually, you will see something like this. So that's what we do. That's how we do it in CSS. You just had an overstate to it. So let me now continue with, so I have coming. So add to cart seems to be bold. I don't think so. I don't think the add to cart is kind of bold, actually. I don't think it's bold. I don't think it's bold. It's just like the normal way it is. But it could be my eyes. It could be my eyes. Let's see. Well, if I'm adding an opacity of 1 pixel, it's going to actually affect the whole text, not the strike through. Actually going to affect, let me use 0.5 rem. Actually going to affect the whole text, basically. Let me increase it to 5 rem so you can see. Actually going to affect the whole element, or let me use 0.5. 0.5, and let's see. So you can see it's actually going to affect the element itself, not just only the strike through. So that's why I'm cautious of using an opacity. So let's have a bold. You guys are already saying let's have a bold on the font. So let's have a font here, font width of bold, and yeah, it said font width of bold, and right there it is. So this is what it looked like. This is simply what it needs to look like on a mobile version. So let's just try out and see what is actually going to look like on a desktop version. So yeah, let's see what's going to look like on a desktop version, and I'm just going to do some things. So on some things that I'm going to actually change, I'm just going to duplicate it one after the other and comment them out. So for this, so I'm going to return this back to the normal state which we had before. We had of 1 rem, we had 2 rem, 1 rem right here, and we had 600. So, but when I want to make it like when I want to make it for a desktop approach, so let me duplicate this, and I will just comment this out. We would have 4 rem. So I don't want to go into responsive design, that's why I'm just changing this one after the other. So we have 4 rem. So we have 4 rem and auto. So we have 4 rem auto. So more like we are figuring out for desktop view already. 4 rem auto. We also have the max width is going to be 800. So it's going to be a little bit more wider right there. So it's going to have a little bit more space. So for the product, I'm also going to change this. I'm also going to use some elements right here. I'm just going to duplicate this, and just comment this out and comment this out. But when we get to responsive design, this is not how we are going to do it. So we have a flex right here. It's going to be flex, and we're going to have a width. We're going to have a width of somewhat. We're going to have a width of also 800 pixel. Width of 800 pixel. Yeah. Width of 800 pixel. So let's see what we have. Why is our okay? I'm still going to come back to our image. So 800 pixel, and let me put something like, let me reduce this to 700 pixel so that we can see some changes. And I think that works well. So now let's now define our product image. So let's now use our product image. So let's now style our product image in itself. So let's duplicate this and also check this out. So let's see, we have width of 100%, height of 100%. So I'm going to change the height to 100% also. 100%. I'm also going to change the max width to 100% right here. 100%. So on the object, I'm just going to do cover also. I'm not going to display a block. I'm just going to give it like a, let me save this and see what we have. Our image is not yet out yet. Why is it not yet out? Why is it not yet out yet? I'm trying to see what's going on. So product image, why is it not out yet? No, I didn't comment it out. You can see that I gave it a different style right here. I didn't comment it out. I gave it a different style right here. So, but let's continue. Product image, flex one, yeah. Okay, so let's see. Product content. So let's define our product content also. Let's also define our product content, and I'm going to have flex of 1 also here. So I want to make this also grow. Flex 1. I'm also going to have a padding of 2 rem. 2 rem. I'm also going to have a flex, and display flex rather. Display flex. Flex direction column. And what else? I'm going to, so let's save and see. So yeah, this is what I was looking for. So this was actually what I was looking for. So this was actually what I was looking for. So this was actually what I was looking for. So we just do justify content center. We just do justify content center. So it brings the elements back to the center. So let's do this. And yeah, it brings it to the center as we have right here. So, Abel, where are you lost? So I'm just going to explain what I simply did over again. So previously, what I did was I made use of an approach which is called the mobile. There are two kinds of approaches when you want to build a web page. There is the mobile first approach, and there is the desktop. There's the desktop approach. So in building this, I made use of every style I wrote before now. I was making use of the mobile first approach, but I wanted you to also see it on the desktop view. So if you can see, this is how the desktop design looks like. So I now have to work with that basically. So if I comment out audio styles I have written before now, it's going to be compact and it's going to be small. So you can have access to it on a small screen thereabouts. But I don't want to start diving into responsiveness where you're going to be confused. So I just have to comment out some of the code I used when I was styling first, then I restyled it again so that you can actually see it on a desktop and on a mobile version. So what we have now is this. Let me also now do something. Let me reduce this to somewhat 3 rem. So I don't want to see this, what's the name? I don't see the scroll on the side. Let me give it to 1 rem. 1 rem rather. 2 rem. Let me give it 2 rem. I don't want to see the scroll on the side. Yeah. The scroll on the side is kind of annoying. So I don't want to see the scroll on the side. That's why I actually have this right here. So that's why I actually have this right here. So I hope you understand. So do you have any question for what you have done so far? So with this, you have actually come to the end of building this basically. So we have finished building it and you can always practice with it. So it's still the same design that we have. Once you have your this thing on it, it overflows. I say overflows. It does what's simply called the over effect. We just this is more like an animation sort of. This is like an animation in CSS. So we have somewhat of like animation. There are animations in CSS. How did I remove the scroll? What I simply did was I reduced the margin to the top that I gave it. I reduced the margin to the top that I gave it. That was how I was able to reduce the height, the scroll that was beside it. So it's not a scroll that is below it. So I don't want to see the scroll side by side at the side of it. That's why I just had to remove it. So that's it. So Abel, can we have a conversation so I know where you are lost? Glory Eke, do you understand?
Thank you very much. I was following initially. What I did was when we got to the web version, I duplicated my CSS and I was trying to make the changes there, but it seems we were too fast and I couldn't follow up.
Okay. Oh, I think what you should have done was instead of you just duplicating your CSS, you could have just you have just followed the way I was doing it. So it was not actually everything I changed, basically. It was just like a few lines on my container right here. You can see I changed my container and I also changed some elements, some styling in my product. And I think I also changed some styling in the product image. And the other part where I changed something was in the product content. And that was just in 3 places. That was the style I changed basically. So that was why I didn't want to like duplicate the screen and duplicate the CSS and start walking through it all over again. So I just did it in a miniature way. So do you understand?
Yes, I think I'm okay now.
Yeah, all right. So does anyone have any other question? Like, let's have a conversation, let's have questions and all. So
Good morning. Okay.
who is that?
It's Godfrey. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Godfrey.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the class and thanks everyone. Then on the hover effect, then there is the video I watch and I implement it, works. Like on the hover side.
Over. Okay.
Okay, so like the hover effect now, the code, the person that wrote the code in the same block with the product design, it works like that. So I don't know what the difference between that and this one.
Okay, what the person did was the person actually did a nested version of the code. But it sometimes is not actually a good practice because you would get confused. What if I'm not sure how the person did, probably the person did something like this.
No, right? I like and, like the sign of and.
Is it up here?
Like after the listener, right and.
and you have something like over.
No, the button after the bold, after the font width.
After the font width,
It says inside the same code again, it works. So I don't tell whether there's a difference.
which
Like
part of it? I'm trying to understand where the person added the over effect.
after the font width, now to the next line within the block.
So it did something like this, and
hover.
And now added something like this.
Open a bracket, down over, and it works. So
Yeah,
I don't
it's
try
going to work. It's actually going to work. What you are simply doing here is you are just nesting. You are doing a nested element. So let's try it out. This is actually another approach, basically. I've not tried it out before. So let's see. It's actually going to work because what it's simply doing there is instead of you trying to declare the style over again, you are just nesting that element. You are just nesting that element across it. So there is something called nested styling. So this is just as simple as doing it the same way I did right here of just product underscore over something like this. Actually, that's what it simply does. So it's basically going to work. Actually, thank you for this. And well, it's been a while I actually wrote vanilla CSS. You would hear along the line, you hear something called vanilla CSS. It's been a while I wrote vanilla CSS. So most times I write Tailwind all of the time. So I think I'll also teach you guys Tailwind, but before you can understand Tailwind, you still have to know the basic CSS. Okay, so Kenneth, you say you want to know how you can use an article or a section element. So, because I normally use this across, because I normally use section also. Yeah, well, it comes down to personal preference. Also, I can also decide to use, I might not even decide to use section across. I can, most times, if it's not because I'm trying to use semantic HTML, all the codes I write, I think over the past couple of months, I think going close to 2 years now, I use div most of the time. Why do I use div? Because I already know that for every product I'm building, I do what is called SEO optimization. So I'm not using HTML and CSS where you have to start battling with SEO optimization of using semantic HTML, though it helps, but with frameworks such as React or Next.js, SEO comes very easy. SEO comes very easy. So with that, I can just build with all divs all around, and I know that my SEO is taken care of. So it just comes down to personal preference. I can tell you, I think it's just recently in a code that I'm just writing, that I'm currently building, that I started using main. It's only when I want to define like a major container, like the overlapping container, that is the overlapping div that is going to hold everything together of a particular session. That's why I use main. Every other thing that goes inside it is a div here and there. So I hope you understand. So most times I just use div all of the time. So do we understand? All right. Yes. Keshiru, yeah, I'm sorry I called your son name, if that's his son name. I don't want to murder your name, so I prefer Keshiru. Sounds very easy for me. So yeah, it's called nested element, nested styling. So instead of having to write it on a different line, just use the and. The and symbol stands for nesting. So with the and symbol, it knows that you are still targeting that particular element. So far, it's still within the block of that styling that you're working with. So if on over right here, we now do color of red. If we come right here and we over on it, you can see our text become automatic red. So it's just still styling in the normal way we want it to be. So, and funny enough, I've not actually tried this before, but thank you actually for I can't remember the person that mentioned this, but the person that brought this to my
It's God. My
Godfrey, thank you for bringing it to my attention. It might be something new that I've not come across, so I use still with most of the time. Yeah, thank you very much, Keshero. You like it when you're being called, you're being addressed by your surname. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So do we have any other question? I was seeing there was someone hand I was seeing the other time. If your hand is raised.
Yes, I want to ask about when you were styling the product name.
Okay.
You use the line height 1.5.
Yes.
You did not put any unit, no pixel,
No. For
rem.
line height, yeah, you don't necessarily have to put pixel for line height, basically. You don't have to, it's just the value that goes into it. For line height, even if you check out Sigma design, it's just like just put a value in front of it and you're good to go, basically. So it
Okay.
does not carry a pixel, a unit of measurement, actually.
Thank you.
Well, net, I can't tell you these are the elements you use, simply because you would actually work with a Figma design. So it's a Figma design that will give you the style guide to what you are going to work with. So there was a place I used flex of 1. So it's just me telling our element to grow in size, basically. So if you read up on flex, I mentioned it in the previous class, is to be like, okay, you want an element to grow in size and you give it flex of 1. It grows in size, basically. That's it. So just to be sure, do we need to take another adjustment to scrolling the eyes, or just, well, if it's, see, Glory, it's not bad to have like a scroll on the side of your screen, because if you are building like a multi-section web page, if you are building like a web page that has like 6 different sections, there's definitely going to be a scroll. There's definitely going to be a scroll on the side of your screen so that your users can see everything below your screen. But for us, we are just building a simple card, and it's already looking already ambiguous to have like a scroll, like there's something below. That was why I just removed the scroll on the right. It's not that it's necessary to make any. If you are building a very long web page, you definitely have a scroll beside, but we are just building something small. That was why I actually had to remove the scroll beside it. I hope you understand, Glory. So sorry for, no, you are not taking me back. Can you explain layout and positioning? Layout and positioning are two different things entirely. So which part of it do you want me to explain? Because simple layout is Flexbox and CSS Grid. And out of the layout, we have just spoken about one, basically. While in the next class, we are simply going to go into CSS Grid. So what do you want me to talk about in Flexbox? Because I can't start explaining Flexbox all over from the beginning. We did Flexbox in 2 classes, and I can't say, okay, I want to explain Flexbox in 30 minutes. So, and we also had practical say, what aspect of Flexbox don't you understand? Let me ask you one question. Sunday, were you in the last class?
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Yeah, actually, I was in the last class.
Okay.
But
And you
yeah, I
didn't
was
understand it.
yes. I couldn't
So,
position my like the task you gave us. I okay, initially I didn't get it initially. I was using the picture. I thought that we were going to match the balloon, the air balloon, and the what's it called, the background color, the yellow together. So I couldn't figure it out how I could do that initially. But along the line on this called channel, so I saw someone uploaded. I think the person posted the picture together. Like I was thinking we will do the design on our own before. That's what I thought initially.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Pictures like that, okay, wait. There's always something you call work smart. So yeah, sometimes when you're given a Figma design, some of the things you don't have to start coding them all from scratch. Sometimes what you just simply have to do is you just go to your Figma design and you copy out, you download the image, you export the image, and you use it like that. Basically, that's what you do. If it's image, if they are not, there are different in image and SVG. So if it's an image and it does not, and it's not a this thing, if it's an image and it does not have somewhat like an animation sort of, you don't really know how to use positioning. What you simply have to do is just pick it up here and there and just use them. You understand, Sunday? So let me, yeah.
I
So I
think,
Okay, sir.
yeah,
I think what you're trying to say is about that section of the picture that has the blob, the balloon, and everything.
yes, that's actually what I'm saying, basically.
Now I had to like crop that part of the picture, and that was what was sent to the group. So I think maybe a better thing would have been for him to know that you can crop that section of the picture, because the picture is one whole picture, including the balloon and the blobs. So you can actually like crop that section out without making mistakes, crop it out, and then use it as a whole picture and add it to the side of your code. That was what I
That's
actually
what
did.
you did. Yeah,
But if I had
well,
to take
there is
it
not.
again,
Well, there is no one way to doing things. Actually, there are multiple ways to doing things. So for me, I don't tell my students that do it this particular way. There is also room for exploration. There's also room for, okay, yes, I know I can do this thing myself. I can do this thing myself, basically. That is it. So, and it also gives you that kind of joy when you do it yourself. So you try, okay, I found a way to do this and I'm doing it myself. And yeah, you're good to go with it and you're fine. So that's it. So I hope you understand. So yeah, glory, that's another way of taking it. If that's another approach entirely of using Z-index, and I've not taught you Z-index. So that's why there's still a part where I'm going to talk about all these things where there is no way of me explaining Z-index isolatedly. So there are some things that if I explain them isolatedly without practicing it, you might not understand. That's why sometimes line height, when I was discussing CSS, letter space, when I was discussing CSS initially, I didn't talk about it. But when we were actually building something practical now, you can see that, yes, I'm actually using it. So there are some things, I would say 60 to 70% of the things that you would use in CSS, you would use them more in practical, or let me say in writing code generally. You will use them and understand them more in practical than explaining it isolatedly. That's just it. So I made mention of using, what's the name? I made mention of using, showing you Figma design, how to work with Figma design. So let me do that now. So let me just close my browser and open up the account that I use. So can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen, please?
Yes,
Yes,
you
sir.
can.
yes, sir.
No.
All right. So this is how you work with Figma. So I I said something. If you are a student, if you're a student, if you have and you're in the university and your student give you an official student email account, it gives you a privilege to have something called dev mode. And with dev mode, you are able to get accurate measurements of what you are working with, basically. So I use dev mode most of the time. I use dev mode so I can have an accurate design. So when it comes to working with Figma and you have a dev account, what you have to do is you can see this. I don't know why this element is not positioned properly. This container frame. So I'm coming. So let me see export. So content, export frame. So when you do this, and yeah, let me see. You can see the export frame. So for this second part, I don't know why it's not. It's supposed to actually be compact. Sort of that once I select this element, it's supposed to be grouped basically, but this is not working. So let me select this. This is just like a thumbnail image. So what you do as, I don't know why that image is not cropping out itself, but your guys have helped you out with that. So when you are working with Figma and you have selected an element, if you look below my screen, you would see something like this. You would see, once I select this, once I close this up, my dev mode is off. But when I open this, I can see my dev mode. So when I select each of the elements, it gives me the accurate width and height. It gives me the accurate width and height of the element I have there. So I can see I have a width, I have audio styling. So for you, Kenneth, they're asking me, what are the styles that you'll be needing for a text on a Figma design? It's actually there. Your UI designer has done that. What you just have to do is check through the code. Once you check through the code and you can see for this element, for this assignment I gave you, the font family you are using is actually Poppins. It's actually Poppins. So your the UI designer that did this has already given you a very easy leverage to work on. So what you just need to do is you don't need to start struggling with the font. You just come here. If you select the text, you would know that okay, this text is actually Poppins. Once you see the font family, once you see the top typography, you will see the font family. You are good to go, actually. That's how you basically work with Figma.
Sir,
Yours is not showing. So probably because you're not on dev mode. And if you are not using a student account, if you are not using a student account, it's going to ask you to subscribe. Because if you are using a normal Gmail account that is not a student account, you would simply do what? You simply have to pay. Dev mode is actually paid, basically. So Kenneth, your hand is raised.
Okay. Like seeing all these measurements, like the way you did your own, my own, I could not be able to see all these measurements like this. So I just decided to use a dimension like.
Okay, wait. I think let me also show you another thing. I think that I understand where you're coming from because you don't have dev mode. So let me open my other Figma account here. Come on, let me just copy this. Let me copy this URL and paste it right here. So I can open this Figma design on my actual account, which I actually use for some of my design. So I think this is another approach to solve this issue. So I think because most times I have dev mode. Most times I have dev mode. most times I have dev mode. So you can see now on this account, I don't have dev mode installed. So for me, I have dev mode simply because I work on my company's project, and they have dev mode. They have given me their account, my company's account is a pro account. So I have dev mode, so I don't need to subscribe on my own personal basis. So for something like this, you can also still get your typography. So once you select the element, um, sort of, I'm coming. So once you select the element, and you scroll down a bit, you can see the style. You can see the topography of poppins, weight of 600. So you can still have access to it, but it's not going to be as detailed as the one that I have when I have dev mode. So you can still see the layout of each of your elements one after the other. So what's the name? Tenet, you can still work with this. You can still work with this actually. So those are the two ways you can work
What
with
is the shape?
Figma. Yeah. Who is speaking? Well, Keshiro, I can't do that basically. I can't give you access to my company's Figma design because the product we're actually building is actually on it. So I can't give you access to it. So that's just the simple quick hack I've given you. If you're in university, just make use of your student account and it's free for life.
Let's do a screenshot of what you should.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, who is that?
It's Godfrey.
Okay, go ahead, Joshua.
Okay. I think what because I used to have a Figma account, and I think before we can able to interact with this Figma, we need to be given an access to edit before we can also be because if
Why do
you
you
just
need access? Why do you need access to edit? No.
because once you share the link with us, we can only be to seek this thing. We cannot be able to get the measurement line. I don't think it can work that way.
So for this my second account that I used, I don't have access to it. So you can see what it's saying. You can only view and comment on this file, ask for edit permission, but I can still see the layout. That's all you need. You don't need edit access. If I give you
Okay.
edit access, some of you would come to the Figma board. You're not a Figma designer. You come to the Figma board and you would change the style to fit what you have done. So that's why I can't give you access.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, George, sometimes I don't know. Probably you have if you check very well, probably you have an old Figma account, sort of. I know that there was a time my normal Figma account actually gives me access to dev mode normally. So I think the simple way to do it, let me teach you another hack. Let me try this hack. Be sure this is going to work. So let me do something. Just a second. Let me do something. So if I duplicate this project, let me see that I duplicate this project. So I want to duplicate this project. So let me duplicate this project. This particular task I'm giving you, let me duplicate it. So, and I opened it up. I should have access to dev mode now. Because now I am the owner of this project. Basically. So I think now I am the owner of this project. That's why I can have access. Yeah. So I just taught you another simple hack now. Once you're given a Figma design, duplicate the design to your Figma account, and it gives you access to dev mode. So you can see, I just gave you two quick ways to make use of Pixel. I said, sorry, to make use of dev mode. Once you have access to the account, okay, once I give you a Figma design, go to your file. Once I give you an access to a Figma design, right click, and once you right click, you will see duplicate. And by the time you duplicate that file, it gives you access to dev mode because it now shows that you are the owner of that project. That's simply what it does. So once you duplicate the file, it gives you editor access. That means you are the owner of the file. So you have access to dev mode. So I think this secret must not be let out, but there's nothing Figma can do about it. So that's another way to bypass paying for dev mode hereabouts. But sir, those pixels in Figma are outrageous. Is that why you're using REM? Well, so one thing in Figma design is you can actually convert the pixel to REM and convert your style. Instead of showing you pixel, you can see now I have my unit right here. I change my unit from pixel to REM. And every style is going to give to me. It's going to be in REM, not pixel. I hope you can see that. Who asked that question? I can't see the person who asked the question again. Yetunde, you have a question, go ahead. Okay, George, you can see how I did it.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning,
Can
Yetunde.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you asked us to right click on the file, but I'm trying to do that, but I can't find duplicate. I only saw copy and copy as.
No, you would see duplicates. You would definitely see duplicates. Because I just right clicked now, and you can see there is this thing. I'm coming. There is, let me right click on the project again. You can see that there is open in tab, open in new tab, create new branch, copy link, share, duplicate. Even if you want to do it for another project, it's also the same. So you would see that there is a way to duplicate your file. So just check it out properly. You would see that there's a way to do it. So, all right. I think I have tried enough. I have given you guys so many hints on how to use Figma, and I'm sure from now on I should see a very good design every time I give you a Figma. I'm going forward from now on. Every task you'll be doing, I'll just look for a Figma design and I'll give you guys to use, and that's how we'll be going on from now. So this secret I've taught you guys. If some of the other colleagues that are not in class ask about it, just share it with them, and the secret goes around. So that's why I said something that in the tech ecosystem, you don't hoard knowledge. If you hoard knowledge, someone they'll go and get it from somewhere else. So I just taught you 2 ways on how to bypass Figma dev mode now. And by doing so, if someone is also having the same issue, you share it with them. And yeah, we are good to go. So thank you very much for today's class. We'll see you in the next class. And in the next class, we'll be talking about another kind of CSS layout, which is CSS grid, which is much more interesting. And I hope to see you there. Bye.
Sir, before you go,